In the bridal suite, Elizabeth was adjusting her diamond earrings, the white silk robe cool against her skin. The morning felt perfect until a knock on the door.
Elizabeth, I need to speak with you. Alone.
The other women exchanged glances but left the room. The door clicked shut, and the suite felt suddenly smaller.
I reviewed the nanny cam from the house this morning. You need to see this before you walk down that aisle.
She tapped the screen, and grainy night vision footage filled the display. The timestamp read 11:47 p.m. A man and a woman stumbled into the foyer, their bodies pressed together.
That's Joseph and Lisa.
The video played on. Joseph pressed Lisa against the wall, her leg hooked around his. They were kissing like the house belonged to them.
The night before my wedding, in his parents' house.
Margaret stood silently, arms crossed, her face shadowed with sorrow. The video ended. The silence in the bridal suite was heavier than any accusation. The night before the wedding, Joseph slipped out of the hotel, telling Elizabeth he needed one last drink with the groomsmen. Across the room, Lisa sat at a high table, her bridesmaid duties forgotten, a half-empty glass in front of her.
Lisa, what are you doing here alone?
Trying to enjoy my last night of freedom, just like you.
Then let's make it a good one. What are you drinking?
They ordered another round. His hand found her knee under the table. The pretense melted quickly. By midnight, they stumbled out together, his arm around her waist, her laugh too loud for the quiet street.
My hotel's a block away, but your parents' house is empty, right?
Completely empty. They're setting up for the brunch tomorrow, but nobody's there now.
They drove 15 minutes to the darkened house. The porch light was on. The nanny cam's red light blinked once, unseen. They stumbled through the front door, the foyer dark except for the porch light spilling across the floor.
Nobody's going to look for us here. The whole place is empty.
Good, because I've wanted this for longer than I should admit.
The nanny cam's lens caught the moment his hands slid around her waist, the timestamp advancing to 11:49. Joseph pressed her against the wall, his mouth finding hers with a hunger that left no room for misunderstanding. The camera recorded every second. The way she gasped, the way he groaned, the way her fingers dug into his jacket. They didn't see the tiny red light, didn't know the house was about to betray them. Time dissolved. The only sounds were their breathing and the faint hum of the camera.
Upstairs? Now.
They disappeared up the staircase. The foyer fell silent, the red light still blinking. Now the only witness, the wedding morning arrived in a cascade of golden light. Elizabeth stood at the vanity, her reflection smiling back at her, every detail of the day perfectly in place.
In a few hours, I'll be his wife. Everything we've waited for starts today.
Across town, Margaret walked through the empty house, checking the brunch preparations. The floral arrangements were perfect, the champagne flutes polished. A routine check of the home security system stopped her cold. The NannyCam app showed an alert. Motion detected at 11:47 p.m. the night before. She opened the footage, expecting a stray cat. Instead, the screen showed her son and the maid of honor staggering into the foyer, hands all over each other.
No. Joseph, what have you done?
She watched the entire encounter. The kiss, the staircase, the silence after. Her hands trembled, but her jaw set with grim purpose.
I have to show Elizabeth. She can't walk into this blind.
She transferred the video to her phone, snatched her keys from the hook, and got into the car. The drive to the bridal suite was a blur of green lights and silent prayers. She pulled up to the venue, took a deep breath, and walked in, the phone heavy in her pocket.
This isn't real. It can't be. Joseph wouldn't do this to me. Not with Lisa.
The phone lay in her lap, the screen black. The evidence was burned into her mind, every second of it.
I'm so sorry, Elizabeth. I wish there was another way, but you needed to know.
Why? Why would they on the night before our wedding? After 4 years?
I don't have an answer. But you deserve better than blind faith in someone who betrayed you.
Elizabeth's body shook with silent sobs. The perfect morning had shattered into 1,000 sharp pieces.
You don't have to decide anything right now, but the ceremony is in a few hours. Whatever you choose, I'll support you.
Choose? How do I choose anything when the man I loved is a stranger?
Margaret didn't answer. She simply stayed, a solid, unyielding presence in the ruins of Elizabeth's wedding day. Outside, the last of the morning quiet faded. Soon, the bridesmaids would return. Elizabeth had to face them soon.
You should know before you make a vow. That's all I came to say.
She squeezed Elizabeth's shoulder, then walked out, closing the door softly behind her. Alone, Elizabeth let the tears come full force, ugly sobs that ripped through the silence.
4 years. 4 years, and they threw it away in one night.
She stared at her reflection in the mirror, mascara streaking down, the bride she'd been an hour ago gone.
I won't cancel. I won't give them the satisfaction of a quiet escape.
A cold, unfamiliar anger began to replace the shock, settling into her bones.
If they want a wedding, they'll get one. But they'll never forget it.
She picked up her phone, her fingers hovering over the call button. Margaret's number was still on the screen. Then she set it down. Whatever came next, she needed to decide it herself, not in a rush of tears. A knock jolted her from the daze. She scrubbed her cheeks, drew a steadying breath, and called, "Come in."
Good morning, gorgeous. Are you ready to become Mrs. Joseph Andrews? Because today is your day.
Elizabeth offered a rigid smile, her nails digging into her palms behind her back.
The flowers are set, the church is packed, and I have tissues ready because I'm already crying.
You rehearsed those lines while you were in his bed last night.
Now, let's get you into this dress. I want every eye on you as you walk toward your prince.
Lisa's hands smoothed the lace, fingers trailing over Elizabeth's shoulders. The touch was a lie wrapped in silk.
Don't touch me. You breathed his name against that same wall. I need a few minutes to center myself, alone.
She walked out, leaving Lisa holding the veil. The bathroom mirror would witness the real face she couldn't show yet. She locked the bathroom door and pressed her forehead against the cool tile. The plan was already taking shape.
I'll walk down that aisle. I'll say the words, and then I'll show them all exactly what a vow means.
She dialed Margaret. The call was answered on the first ring.
Margaret, I'm going through with the ceremony, but not the marriage. I need your help.
Anything. What do you need from me?
Have the time-stamped footage ready. When the time comes, you'll know. No one else.
I'll be in the front pew. Whatever you decide, I'm behind you.
She ended the call and straightened her spine. The woman in the mirror was no longer a betrayed bride. She was a reckoning.
They wanted a spectacle. I'll give them one they'll talk about for the rest of their lives.
She fixed her makeup, hiding the tear tracks behind fresh powder. When she walked out, no one would see the wound, only the war. She emerged from the bathroom composed, a mask of bridal serenity. The bridesmaids fluttered around her, none suspecting the storm beneath.
Smile. Nod. Let them dress you for a wedding that will never be.
Lisa fastened the last button, her fingers brushing Elizabeth's back. Elizabeth flinched but covered it with a cough.
Every touch from you is a violation now.
The church doors opened. The organ swelled. Elizabeth took her father's arm and stepped into the aisle.
One step, then another. You are not walking toward him. You are walking toward justice.
At the altar, Joseph beamed, his smile wide and oblivious, his hands clasped in front of him.
You have no idea what's coming, but you will.
The officiant began the opening words. Elizabeth's heart hammered, but her face stayed placid. She reached the altar steps. Joseph extended his hand. She took it, her grip cold as stone. The officiant opened his mouth to begin the vows, but Elizabeth gently pulled the microphone from his hand.
Before we go any further, there's something everyone here needs to hear.
She unfolded a small sheet of paper, her voice steady and clear as she read.
Last night, at 11:47 p.m., a man and a woman entered 582 Maplewood Drive.
A murmur rippled through the guests. Joseph's smile began to fade.
At 11:49 p.m., the security footage shows him sliding his hands around her waist.
Confusion turned to whispers. In the pews, Margaret's hand tightened on her purse.
By 11:52 p.m., he had her pinned against the wall, kissing her like the house was his own.
Joseph reached for the microphone, his hand trembling, his face a mask of panic.
Don't. I'm not finished. At 12:05 a.m., They disappeared up the staircase together. The camera recorded the silence that followed.
The church fell absolutely still. No one breathed. Every eye was fixed on the bride in white.
The footage is unambiguous. The man was Joseph Andrews, my groom. The woman was Lisa Hanley, my maid of honor, my friend since we were 12.
A collective gasp tore through the sanctuary. Heads whipped toward the bridesmaid's line. Lisa's face drained of color. The bouquet in her hands began to tremble violently. Joseph stood paralyzed, his mouth opening and closing without sound, a man trapped in his own lie.
This happened the night before our wedding. In the house his mother prepared for our celebration.
In the front pew, Margaret nodded slowly, tears sliding down her cheeks, but her spine was straight. 180 guests sat frozen, their happy occasion shattered into a courtroom of public truth.
Elizabeth, stop. This is our wedding day. We can talk about this later. Just the two of us.
I said, don't. You've done enough talking for a lifetime. I want to thank Margaret Andrews publicly. She found the footage this morning and brought it to me without hesitation.
In the front pew, Margaret pressed a trembling hand to her lips. Tears streamed down her face, but her nod was barely perceptible.
Without her, I would have made a vow I can never undo.
She twisted the engagement ring off her finger. The diamond flashed as it caught the light, the same way it had when he'd first slid it on.
This ring represented a promise I meant to keep, but the promise was already broken before I ever wore it down the aisle.
She set the ring on the white altar cloth. It landed with a soft clink that echoed through the silent sanctuary.
Liz, please, just give me a chance to explain.
Elizabeth didn't even glance at him. Her eyes found Margaret's in the front pew, a silent exchange of solidarity. She turned sharply, her dress rustling against the stone floor. The organ went silent. The guests parted without a word, their faces a mix of horror and awe. No one reached out. No one dared.
Don't stop. Don't stumble. Not until you're through those doors.
Liz, please, wait. Somebody stop her.
But no one moved. The weight of the truth held them all in place. Joseph's voice cracked, his hands trembling at his sides. The altar behind him seemed to swallow his words. Lisa stumbled backward, her heel catching on a bridesmaid's dress. The bouquet fell to the floor, petals scattering.
I can explain. It wasn't...
A woman in the second row, a stranger, cut her off. There's nothing to explain. Sit down. The church doors swung open. Elizabeth stepped through them, the sun blinding after the dim sanctuary. On the church steps, Elizabeth stopped and tilted her face to the sun, her breath shuddering out of her. The heavy door behind her pushed open again, and Margaret stepped out, her own eyes red-rimmed but steady.
You shouldn't be alone right now. Let me take you somewhere.
She came for me. After everything, she came.
Elizabeth nodded mutely, and Margaret led her toward a gray sedan idling at the curb. Elizabeth slid into the passenger seat, the tulle of her gown billowing into the footwell like a cloud.
There's a guest house at my property. No one will bother you there.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do now.
You don't have to know yet. Right now, you just rest.
Margaret pulled away from the church, and the white steeple shrank in the rearview mirror. They drove in heavy silence for several blocks before Margaret spoke, her voice barely above a whisper.
What you did in there. I've never seen anyone so brave.
It wasn't brave. I was just done. Done pretending.
I know that feeling. I've been pretending for 20 years.
Elizabeth turned to look at her. Margaret's jaw was set, but a single tear traced down her cheek.
Richard, Joseph's father, had a mistress when Joseph was in high school. I found out too late to undo everything. I stayed for Joseph. But watching you choose yourself, it made me realize I've been a coward.
You're not a coward. You brought me that video. You came after me.
Maybe I'm ready to stop being one for good.
The car rolled on, two women bound by shared betrayal, the weight of unsaid decisions hanging between them. 3 days later, Elizabeth sat in a lawyer's office, a black binder open on the mahogany desk. The petition for annulment waited, crisp and undeniable. She signed her name at the bottom. The pen scratched like a final verdict. No hesitation, no tremor. The grounds were irrefutable. Fraud, infidelity, all captured on that cold nanny cam footage.
Joseph's calls can ring until the phone dies. I'm not walking back into that lie.
One voicemail started. "Liz, please. I was scared. I made a..." She deleted it before the sentence finished. Online, Lisa's name became a hashtag of disgust. Former friends posted veiled comments and unfriended her without a word. One message from a childhood friend read simply, "You disgust me." She sent nothing back.
I didn't want their shame. I just want my life back.
The annulment petition was filed that afternoon. The court date would come, but the marriage was already dead. Elizabeth stood on the courthouse steps and breathed. The waiting period had begun, but for the first time in days, the weight felt shared, not crushing. 1 week later, Margaret walked into a different lawyer's office. Divorce papers already drafted, her jaw set.
I'm not staying for my son anymore. He made his own choices. So will I.
She signed her name with the same steady hand that had held the phone showing Elizabeth the video. That evening, she met Elizabeth at a quiet cafe and slid a copy of the filed petition across the table.
I told you I was done pretending. I filed this morning.
Margaret, I didn't expect you to do this so soon.
You showed me it was possible. I wasted 20 years on a lie. I won't waste one more.
Elizabeth reached across and took Margaret's hand. No rings, just skin and solidarity.
We'll get through our cases together.
Outside the cafe window, the city carried on, but inside, two women had just reshaped their futures. In the months that followed, their calendars filled with court dates and therapy appointments, often scheduled back to back.
The hardest part wasn't signing the papers. It was admitting I'd let Richard make me feel small for 2 decades.
I know that feeling. I almost married it.
They started walking together every Sunday. No phones, no court talk, just autumn leaves and the quiet rebuilding of trust. One afternoon at a sidewalk cafe, Margaret made a dry joke about her ex-husband's golf swing, and Elizabeth laughed until her coffee got cold.
I haven't laughed like that since before my marriage went wrong.
Me neither. We're learning, I guess.
The day Elizabeth's annulment was granted, Margaret brought a small cake to the courthouse steps. They ate it with plastic forks.
This isn't a failed wedding. This is a life saved.
Margaret's final decree came a month later. They no longer counted themselves as two women in crisis, but as each other's evidence that survival was possible. Margaret emerged from the county courthouse, a manila envelope in her steady hand. The ink was dry, the weight lighter than she expected.
20 years, and it ends with a stamped envelope. But I'm not ending. I'm just starting.
She met Elizabeth at a quiet restaurant that evening. A bottle of champagne waited, already uncorked.
To walking out of churches and courtrooms with our heads high.
And to the mother-in-law who chose truth over blood. I'll never forget that.
Their glasses clinked, a bright, clear note. No rings, no lies, just two women who had reclaimed their lives.
This isn't just an ending. It's a beginning that we chose for ourselves.
They stayed late, making plans they'd never dared to speak aloud before. Travel, career shifts, a Saturday with no one to answer to. When they finally stepped outside, the night air felt different, softer, as if the city itself had exhaled. Both divorces were final. Both women were free. And for the first time, the future was entirely their own. A year later, the porch of a small cottage overlooked a quiet lake. Two rocking chairs sat side by side, weathered and steady. Elizabeth cradled a mug of black coffee, her auburn hair loose over a simple sweater. No veil, no lace, just morning light. Margaret sat beside her, a matching mug in hand, her silver hair catching the breeze.
This is what peace feels like. Not the absence of noise, but the presence of someone who understands.
They didn't need to speak. The silence between them was full, not empty, a shared understanding hard-won. After a long while, Margaret turned her head slightly and smiled. Elizabeth returned it without words. The coffee cooled. The lake rippled. Nothing more was required. They had walked through fire separately and come out the other side, joined by more than blood. On the railing, their hands rested, bare ring fingers a quiet testament. The future stretched ahead, no longer a minefield but a wide open field under a forgiving sun. In the end, the betrayal didn't destroy them. It burned away everything false, and left behind something unbreakable. The wedding that never happened became the thing that saved her. The mother-in-law she never expected became her fiercest ally. They didn't just survive the worst day of their lives. They built a friendship on its ashes. Margaret found the courage to end a marriage she'd endured for decades. Elizabeth found the strength to walk away before she ever said, "I do." Two women, different generations, bound by the same brutal truth. They deserved more than a promise built on lies. The nanny cam didn't just catch a betrayal, it caught a turning point for both of them. What Joseph and Lisa did in secret saved Elizabeth from a lifetime of pretending, and it gave Margaret permission to stop pretending too. Some bonds are forged in joy. Theirs was forged in the aftermath of a wedding that never should have been. They didn't need a ceremony to promise each other anything. Their friendship was the vow, and in the end, the only rings that mattered were the ones they chose never to wear again. On the porch railing, two hands came to rest, one younger, one older, neither bearing any ring. The bare skin testified silently. They had released the weight of promises broken. Behind them, the cottage windows glowed softly, and the lake stretched into gold. No words were needed. Every held breath from the past 2 years had finally been exhaled. The camera lingered for a long moment. Then the image slowly dimmed. Their outlines softened into dusk. Two figures who had weathered the worst and chosen each other. Silence wrapped around them, not empty, but full of everything they had survived. The screen held darkness. A story that began with a camera's damning light ended in earned darkness. And somewhere in that darkness, two women were still sitting side by side, finally at peace. Fade to black.